Welcome to my channel, to everyone who's new here, and of course to those of you who are back again. Great to have you here. In this video we will take a look together at possible scenarios for the price development of several altcoins. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. You'll also find another video on my channel where I analyze Bitcoin and Ethereum daily. That's definitely worth checking out. And also worth checking out is the crypto exchange mexc, which has the lowest taker fees in this list. Also, on top of that, you get another 20% discount on your trading fees if you use the link in the video description. Also, 100 pairs with 0 fees just on mexc. And here you have a huge list of popular altcoins which you can trade without any fees. So let's get to XRP. XRP went into the circle area where a fair value gap was. So basically we have said once the $2.18 breaks to the upside, then we can get into that fair value gap. So I can take this one out. What I also see right now is a bearish pattern, a shoulder head shoulder formatation, which already broke to the downside and got to the first target. Yeah, the first target is a length of a shoulder. We got there, so I can take this one out. The bigger target is the head. Can put it here still, and this target is still ongoing. Also, we have there a fair value gap. So the target would be the $2.08 from that shoulder head shoulder formatation. Still, I would say if we break the $2.25 to the upside, then this pattern would get invalidated. Yeah, so if this push gets higher than $2.25, then I would say, okay, this target is gone and we have to look for other opportunities to trade XRP. So far, I don't see any long entries for me. I can still say, okay, we have a huge resistance over us. $2.36 is going to get a huge resistance. So if we break the $2.25 to the upside, then we have a good chance to get into the area $2.36 to $2.34. But also we have to take out the highs here. So if we break the $2.25, then we have the chance to get back into the highs, $2.30. And if we also break the $2.30 to the upside, then $2.35, 36 is going to get very interesting. So if the $2.14 breaks to the downside on the 1 hour chart, then I would say, okay, $2.03 can be even a target, even though we have said, okay, we have a shoulder head shoulder formatation, but that shoulder head shoulder formatation is just an orientation in my view, showing us $2.08.5. But $2.03 is also very realistic to go if we break to the downside. And this candle close is lower than $2.14, so this is a breakout candle. And then I most likely wait for the retest and jump then into a short trade, usually. So what about Dogecoin? Dogecoin is more tricky to trade because we have two resistance areas which we broke to the upside within a few hours and we retested them. In the end of the day, we also broke the other resistance area without having any resistance, and we even used it as support. And here again we use the other resistance area as support. So Dogecoin has still more space to the upside. We also have a huge fair value gap left between 18.5 cents to 18.85 cents. This is going to get very interesting. And here we also, I can take this from there. There we also have an old resistance. So I think it's going to get very realistic that Dogecoin can do another push to the upside, which take out the highs from here. Also probably fishing all the stop losses from the short trades, and from here sell off. So my game plan for Dogecoin didn't change, just the price changed. 2 days ago, my short entry was at 16.1 cents if we break that to the downside. Now I can take the price mark a bit more up. 16.4 cents is going to get my short entry if we break it to the downside. And let's see if we get a breakout. If not, then tomorrow the price would move even far higher up. So that's my game plan for Dogecoin at the moment. What about Solana? I still think that Solana can do one less push, but if it does, then this is a double top pattern. And if it breaks to the downside, then for sure it would hurt a bit. Also, I think Solana is topping out, because we can take the Fibonacci extensions, can put it like this. And here you can see that the 155.6 US dollar is the 0.786 Fibonacci, which is a huge resistance for Solana. The also big resistance was the 0.618 Fibonacci, where we also got in retracement. But I think Solana is slowly topping out. And what I have done afterwards is, if we identify this as wave 1, then the wave 2 is going to get in correction. And then we can for sure have to change the targets here, because we have predicted that with another high, we got another push to the upside. So basically this area is going to get very interesting. That's the golden Fibonacci between the 0.618 to 0.786 Fibonacci. If we get a pullback there, then I can expect that Solana is going to get a major push to the upside. I can try to do it with the Fibonacci extensions. For sure we are missing data, so this is not going to get very precise, but just a small orientation where we can go. We can go into this area, $215 and upwards. Or if we get a bigger pullback, then we can say, okay, $205. So I think in the next push, we can see Solana with a higher chance over 200 US dollar. And this is a trade which I don't want to miss, because that's approximately, I think, 80%. Yeah, I have just counted that with my head right now. I would say, yeah, 80%, 90% is possible for Solana. So let's get back into the smaller time frame. If we break the 150 US dollar to the downside, then I would say the chance is very high that we drop down to 145 US dollar. That's still 2.5%, but also this trend line is going upwards, so the target can even change. It might be even possible that we break this support to the downside a bit later, and then we can also get a cross right here. And if we that break to the downside, then it would be short for me. Also, how would I trade it? If we don't get a push to the upside higher than this, what we got an hour ago, and we break this one to the downside soon, then I would jump into a short trade, and into a small short trade, put my stop loss over that high, and then I should be good. If we get another high, let's assume we push to the upside and then sell off, then I would say, okay, this is a double top pattern. I can go into a short trade here at 149 US dollar. Then I can increase my position size a bit more once we break this upwards trend line. And if we then break this to the downside, which is the 145 US dollar, then I would increase my position size again. And what I would do is, we break the $149 to the downside, then I would set my stop loss here and would try to get the first push to the downside. If we break then the next trend line, then I can take my stop loss to another top, for example this one. And if we break then the 145 US dollar to the downside. Then I would set my stop loss to break even, and my average price should be probably somewhere here. So that is going to get my game plan for a safe trade for Solana. So what about Cardano? Let's get to Cardano. Cardano did a huge push to the upside. And we have set 66.5 cents. If we break that to the upside, then it's long and it's positive. We got rejected here. I was personally thinking, okay, in this stage, that we are bearish, that we got rejected and Cardano is going to get a new low. I don't think that anymore. If the 66.5 cents breaks to the upside, which it did, if we go into the 50 minutes chart, then you can even see here the breakout and the retest. And after that, a nice follow through. I still think that Cardano is slowly also topping out. We don't have the strength anymore. Instead, you see those candles. Okay, it shows strength, but you also see that selling pressure to the downside. Also here, the selling pressure. And this usually happens if we top out slowly. So I would look for the 71.1 cents. If they break to the downside, then I can enter a short trade down to our X long line, which is the 66.6 cents. If we also break it to the downside, then 65 cents is going to get the target. I still think that those two trend lines are going to meet somewhere and that they are going to get very close to each other. So basically, here's my take profit then. And still, I would keep maybe a small amount of money still in the trade. If we break that to the downside, then I would take a bit more profits afterwards. So, but first, let's wait for the 71 cents. If we take out those tops here to the upside, then we can get up to 77 cents, where we have another resistance area and some fair value gaps to close. And if we are more bullish, then 79 cents to 80 cents is going to get very interesting as well. So render, we have to go into the 1 hour chart. I want to show you something. So let me take this one out and this one. So we have said that we have here a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup, which overall is a wave 1. A wave 2 is a pullback, a correction, with 3 waves usually into that area. And I will show you how I got that. I will take the Fibonacci extensions. So, and what you can see here, I have to put it a bit more like this. So what you can see here is, we have already said here that render is slowly topping out. And I expected, I assumed that this was our high and I have calculated a box. This box I have changed because we got another top. But actually, render got perfectly rejected at the mark of $4.78, which is the 0.786 Fibonacci. So this whole area is our golden Fibonacci area where we can expect a top for render. And I think it's valid. I don't think that render has the potential to get up more. Yeah, it might be possible. But I think we are done. So basically, if Cardano, for example, we have talked about it, it can still go more up for sure. Nope, that's not an issue. But render is probably going sideways. So when Cardano is pumping up, render is probably doing this. So how did I track the area? So we have said, okay, if this is in wave 1, then we get wave 2. We have also here a 1-2 setup. So let's zoom in and let's see what happened here. We take the normal Fibonacci retracements, put it here to our wave 1, and you can see 0.618 Fibonacci gave us support, but also we say usually in the wave 2 0.618, 0.786, and if we are more bullish, 0.5 Fibonacci is possible. So I take the same here, just with the bigger structure, and here you can see $3.37 is going to get us into the 0.618 Fibonacci, where I think that we get the wave 2 done, and after that wave 3 gets activated, I would say. And if that happens, wave 3 is the most impulsive one, and this can get us a huge push to the upside. So let's assume this was our wave 1, and we get to our wave 2, let's say $3.37. Then we can expect prices up to $7 and over that. Yeah, so basically render has huge potential. So let's get into the smaller time frame. As you can see, this here was a rising wedge which broke to the upside, and we retested it, I think 3 times already. Yeah, 2 times perfectly, and the other times we got near to it a bounce. So if we lose that support, which is currently at $4.26, then render is short to me. And it looks also to me that then we have a double top pattern. And if we take the target of that double top pattern, I take the less bearish one. And put it then to the breakout point. As you can see, the target would be the $3.76. And here is a huge fair value gap. And if that happens, then we also have here a huge fair value gap. So the chances will get high that we meet the area there. And afterwards, I still think that we have a huge chance to get a nice push to the upside. But first, let's get the pullback before we then reach for higher price. Because those fair value gaps lower than us are pretty dangerous in my view. Many people are long at the moment. If they get liquidated, there will be a long squeeze, and the long squeeze would get us a flash crash for render and most likely for all the other coins. Because if we look into ONDO already got a huge fair value gap here, another one here at 76 cents, and if we go a bit lower, I think, yeah, we also have, as you can see, many fair value gaps. It's dangerous for me. I still think in the next bear market we are going to get those fair value gaps far lower than us. I don't think that we are going to get there now. But still, we still have the chance to meet the 76 cents. Let's just try the Fibonacci retracements and let's see where it's going to go. Most likely into this area here. And we have predicted that area, that we get into that area most likely. We have predicted that a week ago. Just because we got a support. We got fair value gaps. And this is what I like. If the Fibonacci retracements, fair value gaps, support areas, and hopefully also chart patterns, because I don't see any chart patterns here. If they fit to each other, then the chances are higher that we meet the area. So, I can't trade ONDO at the moment. To be honest, I can't trade it. I don't see anything which I can trade. I can maybe try to find a trend line like this, which isn't sharp. Or if I want to get an earlier trade, then I can also try this trend line. I will have to see how the chart is going to develop, because I will just keep that trend line. I will make it white, this one here. If I see a pullback and a bounce, then I can say that this trend line is going to get valid, and if that breaks, then we can enter a short trade, in my opinion. But still, we have to look for ONDO a bit more longer. We also have a huge fair value gap over us, $1.08 to $1.12. This can also be our target once we take out the top for ONDO. So what about SUI? What I have done for render, I have done the same for SUI, and SUI got to our 200% extension. So I'm not that good in edit wave, to be honest. I'm not using it daily, so I can't tell you if this is a 1, 2, 3 and afterwards we get a 4 and 5 before we then get a huge major pullback for render, or if that is an overextending wave 5 and this is a 1 setup and we get then a nice pullback for a push afterwards. So I can tell you that I can't tell you that with SUI at the moment, but we got our first sign of rejection at the 200% Fibonacci. I don't see any chart patterns for render. I just see huge fair value gaps, but for SUI, since SUI is so strong, I don't know. It's a coin where I would say, okay, I can try a short trade. I can put my stop loss over the top. If we sell off, then we have to see, are we going to form, for example, some chart patterns like a bear flag. Afterwards we break it to the downside and then we can predict a better target. But here I would just jump blindly into a short trade and I would, let's say, get surprised where the coin is going to go. I don't like that, to be honest, but if the time goes good and we see some good bearish chart pattern, then we can wait for the bearish chart patterns or stop loss over the old top and just try it. So what about HBAR? Yeah, it looks like that we have here a double top pattern. If the 17.56 cents breaks to the downside, then this double top pattern would get activated, but still I have drew a red trend line lower than that, 17.4 cents. If they break to the downside, then I would just enter a short trade, because it might be possible that we break to the downside and afterwards we push to the upside again. Yeah, because here we have still support and it might be possible that we get actually support there with a major bounce, and I don't want to get into huge losses with HBAR. We have also said, okay, if we break the blue trend line to the upside, we did. We even got a retest which doesn't look like a good one. It's not a clean retest, but here's the circle area we got there. So for me it wasn't actually tradable. It wasn't, I have to be honest. This follow through was also very high. For example, I have also seen afterwards a double top pattern. We got those 3 candles to the downside, so I was thinking, okay, that double top pattern can get activated. Instead, we got here a follow through, and it was too weird for me, and also not much percentages were left to the upside. So basically here, I would say only 1.5% to 2.5%, but I actually wanted to take the trade from here down here. And that was actually the gains which I wanted to make, up to 4%. Wasn't possible, even though we also broke that to the upside, got a retest, and even got far higher to close some fair value gaps. So basically I can take this circle out. I would wait for the 17.4 cents breaking to the downside. If they do, then it's short to me. The target says down to 16.15%. I would even prefer 16.06 cents is going to get also realistic, where we have good support and where we can also expect a bounce. If we take the tops out, then I think we don't have much more space to the upside. Yeah, we still have a fair value gap between 19 cents to 19.3 cents. But it might be just that we fished the stop losses from the long trades, from the short trades, sorry, the last time. And after that, a long squeeze before we then get a major push to the upside. So this is my approximately game plan for the cryptos. So far, last week was very difficult to trade also for me. I hope that we are getting some clear chart patterns which we can trade this week. If not, if we don't see any breakouts, then I personally won't enter any trades then, because it's not safe to trade for me. Yeah, we have seen, for example, Bitcoin is going sideways, while SUI is having that pump. ONDO from now, I don't know what happened to ONDO, but it just did that big candle, and I can't trade in that kind of situations for most coins. So I hope that I gave you some valuable information. I hope that you make some good gains in those, I would say, hard times for cryptos. Still think about a major pullback. I'm seeing it coming. I'm telling that since 1 week, but I'm seeing a huge major pullback coming, where some altcoins can even lose 20-30%. But after that, we should see some green numbers, and those green numbers are going to get high in my opinion. So thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow.